Hey guys, welcome to DreamCoin, where we show how to invest for a better tomorrow. My name's Tyler, and today we're going to be going over a couple stocks that you should keep on your watch list with the ramping up of COVID potentially coming back, and how both of these stocks are going to allow you to diversify your portfolio in a way that can help segment against some of the market pulling back if this does come to fruition. The first stock we're going to be talking about that could possibly be a very good play for not only COVID, but just some of the stuff that would involve the research behind these types of viruses and how to counteract them going into the future is going to be TBIO. And that is a stock for the company Translate Bio, who actually got news that Sanofi had an offer to buy them supposedly, which came out in after hours trading today. So what makes them interesting specifically is that they are working on mRNA technology in their vaccines, similar to how a lot of other companies are as well with certain vaccines. A lot of the bigger ones, particularly Moderna and Pfizer, are not looking as suitable with the new variants coming up, particularly Delta. And so there becomes the desire for more powerful vaccines that come out that are actually going to prevent the virus rather than allow for the spread of it to continue and just possibly only diminish the effects, if that can even happen with some of the vaccines. They ended up going up over 70% just in after hours trading, and this put a huge target on them going into pre-market tomorrow, where they could either have a continued rise from renewed interest in this going into tomorrow, or it could have a large dump from current prices due to people selling off that were previously in the stock and couldn't trade after hours. Specifically in the Translate Bio pipeline, they're working on treatments for cystic fibrosis with an inhalation route for their therapeutics, and they're looking at intramuscular ways to deal with COVID and influenza and different pathogens. So even if their COVID stuff does fall through, their cystic fibrosis treatments are still in the phase to where they're the farthest along, and this would allow for the phase 1 and 2 clinical trials to possibly be wrapping up soon, and we could be seeing this wrap up pretty soon in their phase 1/2 clinical trials, where they could be getting to a point where they can submit this for an official treatment for cystic fibrosis. What's more interesting looking at their pipeline is that the Sanofi stuff kind of lines up with what they have in their pipeline, because you can see there you have Sanofi Pasteur linked on their pipeline directly on their website. So there already is a connection there if people weren't already aware of that. And so the rumor that there could be a potential buyout essentially of Translate Bio from Sanofi would be backed up by the fact that they do have this information on their website too as a possible connection to them. Going farther down, you can see that they also mentioned that they specifically are working on a COVID vaccine with Sanofi, and that they expect interim results from their phase 1/2 trials for their vaccine to come out in the third quarter of 2021, which would be wrapping up by the end of September. So we could be seeing data either this month or next on that coming out, which could further provide another catalyst for this coming up, aside from the buyout news that just came through. As we look at their stock today going into after hours, you can see they were trading towards close around just under $30, and they had a huge jump up to where they peaked over $50 at one point. They ended the extended hours trading at 50.35, and this would set them up to where they could possibly get more of a run tomorrow, considering this was extended hours. But since it's up so high, I do expect a lot of profit taking to happen. So it's really just going to depend on how the market reacts tomorrow, how much volume's coming in, and how many people actually want to FOMO into this. I definitely would not be buying here. This is extremely high from where they're trading. Even if we look at the VWAP's got them as a very loose about 37.50 for support here. And so depending on how that goes into tomorrow, we could be seeing a huge drop off, because even the VWAP would be a $13 drop. If it does drop all the way down, I don't suspect the VWAP to hold it too much. They could possibly hold 35 or higher, but we'd be looking at some potentially downside supports where we look at a scenario of 33.50, and then we'd be looking at supports farther down just under $30 around 29.30 and 27.50 is what I'm seeing. If it does pull back all the way down to the 35 area or even under 40, it could possibly be a decent area to maybe start a position if you plan on trying to ride volatility going into the market day. Specifically, if you have something like Webull where you can trade at 4 a.m. Eastern, you could see the price action pretty early and maybe act on how the price is going and possibly do some nice day trading on this. But I think as of now, if you don't plan on day trading this, I wouldn't personally be touching this because this is extremely high. It's going to be very volatile with the stuff going on. And I do see a lot of profit taking happening. If we do get a lot of volume coming in, I do see a scenario where they could be seeing 55, 60 bucks going into tomorrow if the right people get their eyes on this. But the issue is we don't know for sure if the buyout is actually going to be official news. We don't know if the company or Sanofi is going to comment on it at all. And if they do and they reject that, this is going to plummet hard. And even if they do announce that they are buying out, if they don't give a valuation, it could make this very skeptical on where a good price to get in for long term would be. So I'd be very careful playing this, and I would use these support lines as kind of your guideline going into trading tomorrow. The next stock I'm going to be going over in this video is actually going to be PDS Biotechnology, or the ticker PDSB as they trade on the stock market. And they are going to be a very nice possible early play for your long term in your portfolio based on the fact that they are also working on COVID treatments. They specifically have a Versamune platform that they are designing through their company that allows for not only inducing the body to produce antibodies, but also helps in inducing disease targeting T cells so that it almost becomes like a super team to fight anything that's coming into your body as a foreign object or a virus or anything along those lines. And so this possibly gives the outlook for where we could be using this for cancer treatments in the future, and also looking for different things where something like COVID-19, where it's a little harder to treat without using the body's own immune system, it would allow for the body to kind of develop its own system with the treatments help to basically target those viruses and make the body stronger overall without having to take a whole bunch of booster shots over time. PDSB also has a very deep pipeline where they're working on things like head and neck cancer, HPV, cervical cancer, prostate and breast cancer, and melanoma. And those are all on top of things where they're trying to develop prevention of influenza, tuberculosis, and COVID-19. Now, the interesting one for COVID-19 is that it was stated as being preclinical, but they are looking to get data out for this relatively soon, I would think. I wouldn't imagine it's going to be more than 3 to 6 months from now that they actually start getting some news about either starting trials and getting proper data for where they want to look. And if we bring in the fact that they're working on things to induce not only the immune system to do antibodies, but also T cells, we can reference data like this where T cells have been looked at as the possible key to treating COVID-19 and preventing it. And this is due to the fact that a lot of these are going to be able to keep the body in a stronger state so that the virus isn't as aggressive in people in their body. And it would help in keeping cases pretty mild in general if people do contract COVID, because realistically, I don't see COVID going away anytime soon. And it's going to be a pretty big scenario if a company like this can come out with something that looks more key to the factor of treating COVID, especially if it comes to the fact of efficiency, where we don't have to keep giving people different shots or repeatedly giving people different treatments that may or may not work for the next variant that might pop up, 2 to 3 months down the line. If we look at analyst price targets for PDSB, the average is going to be about $19.14, and their current stock price is trading just under $11. Their high is going to be $25 for a price target, and I think even that is going to be lowballing them on a 12-month period, just due to the fact that even though they're preclinical for their COVID vaccine stuff, if we look to where the company's been doing with the data for some of their cancer treatments and how the data has been pretty positive in general, we could be seeing the fact that with the way that they're trying to produce antibodies and T cells in the human body to combat a lot of these different deficiencies going on inside of the body and helping with people that are afflicted with different viruses or diseases, we could be seeing a case where they can front run a lot of the stuff to unlock the key to treating a lot of these in a way that a lot of companies aren't really able to tap into at the current time. If we look forward to where they get more data out for some of their other treatments, and then we we hear news that they are getting data out for their COVID treatment and their vaccine is looking to be promising, I would suggest that this could be easily 30, 40 bucks on a low end for me, especially because of the resurgence of COVID and how the Delta variant has been throwing a wrench in everything. And I highly doubt this is going to be the last major variant that's going to be popping up in the next year or so. I don't mean to state that as a way of fear mongering or anything either. It's just a fact of how the virus is advancing and how all of these different variants are popping up around the world. It just seems the most realistic scenario, especially if lockdowns get delayed like the first time, that we do see an extension of where a lot of different things start developing. And if we don't get on top of it fast, then it's going to be a resounding longer issue for the world in general. If we look at PDSB stock since May, it's been pretty consistently riding this 915 area. They did have a share offering about a month and a half ago. And so they've been rebounding pretty good since then. And this has allowed them to break above this 1068 support that was a significant amount of resistance for them here through the majority of July. Now that they're above this 1068 area, I do see them fluctuating between 1060 and roughly $11, more specifically about $11.50 for a little bit. If they can get some more movement upwards and some more investors in the stock, this could see a nice decent rise for them where they could possibly be hitting 13 to 14 bucks here again soon. You can see their high previously this year was already 1348, and that was just back in June. And so that wasn't unrealistic for me to come to the assumption that I think they can hit new highs still by the end of the year. If we look at their insider ownership, they've got about 20% owned by insiders, and that coincides with another roughly 13% owned by institutions. So this does have a lot of deeper support by bigger money as well on top of what they're already doing with their company. I think this stock here, anything that's like 11 or under is going to be a steal in the long-term future. Like we've already discussed, I see a 200 to 300% upside on the low end in the next 12 months. I'd say going into 2022, 2023, this could easily be a $30 to $40 stock. I don't see how, if they get decent data out for their COVID vaccine, this wouldn't come to the point where this just rockets them up higher. And this would just be before they get out anything with their cancer treatments or anything, which are even farther along than their COVID stuff. So if any of that gets more positive data and they get those pushed out more, that's just going to be more support for the stock going up more in price over time. I just want to thank you guys for the support that I've been seeing over the last few months on the channel. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers here pretty soon, and it's been just really fun doing a lot of these videos for you guys, and I plan to do it for the foreseeable future as much as I can. I had to take a break the last week just for some like real life like job stuff and everything, but I'm looking to get back into doing pretty decently daily videos going forward. And so hopefully I can get out more info on a lot of these stocks for you guys and help you position your portfolios better with the possible market pullback that's going to be coming going into the future. Other than that, that's going to do it for me in this video today, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.